Welcome to the Squad Games Podcast. Squad Games Podcast.
You know, one thing that I really enjoyed, I watched it last night, and I was so tired, but it kept me awake. I loved Conor McGregor's performance in The Roadhouse. My goodness, I enjoyed it.
The Roadhouse?
Have you never seen The Roadhouse, Giacomo?
No, I'm looking it up right now. Well, it only came out this year.
It's a security movie for sure. Maybe it's because I vibe with it on a different level. But also Conor McGregor, my God, he has the most amount of swag I have ever seen anyone put forth in my life. I loved it.
Oh, it was on Prime. No wonder I didn't watch it.
What, you don't like Prime?
No, I just don't have Prime.
Do you have Apple TV or something?
Nope.
Chris Bakke, have you seen The Roadhouse?
I have not, but I am a Prime guy, and I've been looking for something to watch, so I want to check it out.
It's by far not the best movie you'll ever see this summer, but that'll go to probably the what is that movie called that we just saw up north? Yeah, I'll probably go to Furiosa. But I will say it is a very enjoyable movie.
All right. I like
you get to see a lot of Conor McGregor's ass in it.
Is that your favorite part?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is it's not a masterpiece, but it's an masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece. Yeah. 100%.
Put that in quotes somewhere in the Discord.
I also love how fucking yoked the dudes are in the movie. Like, it's like, wow, these guys went fucking ham for it. Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. Man, it's a good time. It's a good time. Some good fight scenes and stuff too. And you can really tell that Conor McGregor knows how to fight. If you haven't seen his fights in the UFC, you could be like, wow, this guy knows how to fight. Obviously, in the movie, it's quite good. Quite good.
All right.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
And today we're here to talk about the Brood Brothers. But before we dive into the Brood Brothers, I wanted to do a couple little shout outs. I had a meeting this week with Segmentum Colorado, and they are running the Colorado's largest kill team event at Tacticon this year in Aurora, Colorado, August 24th and 25th. If anyone's in the area or looking to go to a fun event, I was talking to the guys. They seem like to be really good dudes and their hearts are in the good place. So go ahead and check them out because I think they're going to do a really good job. They have a lot of prize support. I think Army Painter jumped on. I mean, we've never been able to get Army Painter. These guys are doing something right. So go check them out. Two other tournaments I want to shout out. The All Valley Team Tournament is going to be crazy this year. For instance, our anniversary tournament has sold out at 42 players this year, and which is nearly double of what it was last year. We started off at 7, then 24, and now 42.
And the only reason we couldn't do 48, I guarantee, is because of space.
Correct. So what's crazy is that event. If I'm going to tell everyone going there, so if you're going and you're listening to this, you're going to hear it again. But if everyone there buys a ticket to the All Valley Team Tournament, we're pretty much already halfway sold out. So hopefully we can make that happen. It is 3 golden tickets after all. And then finally, Jimmy Kelly's actually going to be running a tournament on July 27th with Team USA. Team USA is a team going to WTC's team tournament in Belgium. Chris, you're on the team, right?
That I am. I'm sort of heading up the U.S. team, heading to Belgium to fight for liberty and country and freedom and democracy. So I'm excited. Can't wait.
Look at this guy.
So the fun thing about that event is everyone in California. So they're having all 5 players from the United States come to this event. They're doing a boot camp the day before. And then there's going to be a tournament, and that tournament is going to be, I may be quoting too much, but they might be giving out jerseys to people who beat people on the Team USA team. Now, I might not be, don't quote me there, but that is what is being discussed currently. And I'm pretty excited about the tournament itself. And I'm not running it. So I got to go play and help the players up their game so we can go kick Spain's, Australia's, Poland's, and the United Kingdom's ass.
The French are cool though. We like the French.
Yeah, we like the French.
They helped us out. They helped us out during the big ones. So, props to them. Absolutely.
They can beat us. That's fine. Yeah. But if you guys want to help out the US team practice, check that tournament out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be in San Diego. I think at Kel Team HQ. We're going to dive right into Brood Brothers. Now, what's interesting is I keep seeing all these podcasts pop up, and every single time there's a certain guest, fucking Chris Baki, on every podcast right now. How does it feel?
Seriously.
How does it feel to be so fucking popular, Mr. Baki? You're so pod famous.
I'm kind of sick of that guy myself. I mean, who let him in here? That's what I'm wondering about. So hopefully that guy can shut up and I don't know, go hobby instead of playing Kill Team or something. I don't know. Dude needs a life.
What I will say is we definitely asked Chris all about Pathfinders before he went and won the Dallas Open with, and all these other podcasters are just going in there being like, "Oh, Chris, how'd you do it? How good are Pathfinders? Are pretty good, huh?"
Yeah, truly nobody thought Pathfinders were good except for you. Props to you for that one. You predicted the craziness.
I think it was a little bit of G2. We hate that team together unitely. Are you ever going to go back?
I had to dust off a really dark part of myself and my soul to play that team. And I don't know if I can look myself in the mirror again and go back in. So I don't know. I mean, if my country needs me to, I will, but I don't know. It's like a little bit like, I don't know, Spider-Man purposely becoming Venom, to beat some ultra bad guy. It's like, I don't know if I want to go there.
Okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair. Also, I'm sure other countries know that Pathfinders are pretty good. In fact, I had a conversation with Spain, and they say that one of their favorite teams is, I think it's Pathfinders, Inquisition, and Felgor currently. Currently, for some reason, they don't think that Mandrakes and Nemesis Claw are S tier. So,
well, I would agree. I would agree with them.
You don't think it's S tier?
No, Nemesis Claw. Neither Nemesis Claw nor Mandrakes are S tier.
Really? I mean,
I don't agree with you there.
All right.
I can hang with you about Nemesis Claw. I don't think they're S tier. Really? You think?
I don't think an elite team can be S tier.
I don't think so either. In the current state of the game, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
But really, Mandrakes? I'm interested in.
Yeah, Mandrakes is 9 bodies at 2 APL. I think like in regular elf chassis. So they just run into this problem where when they start having to trade, the melee math is just really rough on them, and they don't have enough actions to doing a lot of extra scoring on top of that. They're certainly a competent team, but to me, S tier really means like you don't really have bad matchups, and you can be pretty confident going into any given matchup that you can handle it. And I think there's certain matchups that Mandrakes excel in, but the field is too packed with too many different ways to counterplay them at a high level. Where no, I wouldn't consider them S tier.
All right.
For me, and I think in the right hands, they're definitely S tier. And let me explain why. There's not any team currently, other than Chaos Cults with 38 total games in the stats, who has above a 55% win rate. So there's a lot of teams currently that relatively seem normal, but the placing percentages are definitely saying that Mandrakes are by far the best team placing wise in the world currently. So, if we just look at statistics alone outside of the people who are looking to play Mandrakes, and a lot of times I will gauge a team's power by who is looking at playing these teams. So there are certain players that I would just consider S tier, right? And whatever those players are looking to play, I think those teams are going to perform the best. Personally, first, because they are being played by people who are very good. And secondly, they probably see something that other people do not. And I've seen that in the United States, I've seen that with Mandrakes, and I've seen it with Nemesis Claw, and now with Brood Brothers. And Pathfinders, obviously.
May I interject and that's sort of the point I'm going to make here, or the counterpoint rather, is that we have collectively known, for years that Pathfinders are S tier.
Yes.
Yet until super recently, they basically haven't been played in the States. So that'd be my counterpoint, is that there's some teams that are clearly strong that players aren't necessarily playing. And I don't think that top players picking a team is necessarily like a same statement that the team is S tier.
I mean, yes, I see your point. And like some people would argue that Geller Procs are not S tier, but when they're played by Orion Wolfong, they pretty much are. And I think when Pathfinders innately are probably an A team, right? But paid by certain players, yourself included, I think that they are S tier. And I think that it takes a team to have a good pilot to get a team to that next level. So I guess I would say that maybe no team is S tier currently, but when we look at specific players and when specific players are looking at them, other people can also learn from that as well. So if you guys go through ITC and start looking at like what team has Ace been playing for the past 4 tournaments, Felgor, I wonder if they're good still, So like, I think that there's like specific teams, obviously, that are really, really good. And then I think that some people still see them, but you may be right, Chris, and I may be wrong.
Yeah. So the way that I approach like tier lists and S tier, especially is for me, for a team to be S tier, given a pilot piloting them at their reasonably highest skill level against an opponent playing their team at the reasonably highest possible skill level. Do they have a bad matchup? And by bad matchup, I mean, if I was to put odds on the matchup, percentage wise, they wouldn't drop below 50% in any given matchup. And that's the criteria for me to make a team S tier, which is pretty selective and narrows it down to a very small number of teams. And it would be, for example, why I'm pretty down on Cults versus Felgor is because Cults, while they're very, very strong in the right scenarios, in other scenarios at this point, they really, really struggle, right? So against 2 players with max skill level, there's going to be some scenarios where it's, in my opinion, a borderline auto loss for Cults. Obviously, they do much better indoors, but whereas, as opposed to Felgor, where there aren't a lot of scenarios where you look at it on paper and say, oh, Felgor is really screwed here because of this specific matchup, or, they really don't like being on open board, for instance. So that's the barometer I'd use, and that's why I just can't see Mandrakes or Nemesis Claw, in that category.
I think that's fair. My definition of S tier is I would say that I used to have something similar for that, but I don't think there's any team that really fits that criteria anymore. So me looking at a team, I think is very, and statistically wise, like what is the best team currently be performing at the top? And I think that is being shown by specific teams. One quick thing, everyone, the balanced data slate, we've, more or less, it's almost been a full 3 months since our last one. I'm wondering if Commandos is going to get another nerf just because they have almost the exact same percentages as Vetguard did when Vetguard got nerfed. They have a 45% win rate and a 25% placement rating. What do you guys think?
What else would you really nerf?
My take is twofold. One, I don't think they should get nerfed. That's just one opinion. I think the Just a Scratch nerf really kicked them in the shins. My second supposition is I also doubt they would be nerfed. GW tends to wait until teams are like egregiously in a category before adjusting them. And to me, it doesn't seem like Commandos have left the mid range where they're generally comfortable with. And, to follow on to that with Vetguard, Vetguard haven't been placing above 55% win rate for a super long time. Yet they got nerfed, eventually, I think, because there was enough specific outcry about that team. So no, I
got nerfed like 4 times.
Yeah. I don't think Commandos are due for any changes anytime soon.
I would agree. What's interesting about Vetguard's win rate is that they're sitting at just above. I think they're sitting at the same percentage of win rate as they used to be. But their placement percentage is drastically lower. I think they're sitting at a 15% rather than a 30%. So their placement rating, so their ability to win or to do well at tournaments, like in the top echelon, has definitely been shattered with their current one.
And that definitely lines up with some of what we were saying before, which is in a lot of matchups they'll behave exactly the same as they used to, but in some matchups they've been gutted. Yeah,
and a 15% to me is still healthy, right? I think between 15 and 25% is in the healthy range of placements. So I think that they're generally okay where they are. But there's another team, and I think you and me had this wonderful conversation, Chris. There's this other team that just does everything that Vetguard, Wormblade, and Blooded want to do, but better.
Yeah, so I'll embrace the Four-Armed Emperor. He is here to save us and deliver us salvation in the form of Brood Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, this team. I am drastically upset by this team because they do literally everything that I want and better. They are, to me, fucking bonkers. So let's dive into these bad boys. I think the first thing that we can talk about is they can take infiltration, security, and seek and destroy. To me, where did it come? Like, I'm flabbergasted. Why are all these teams able to take 3 archetypes now when some teams are locked to 1? Like, look at Blooded.
Vetguard.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say Vetguard again. Blooded, right? When all these other teams that are just coming out have like every archetype, they're like, hey, let's guarantee that if Seek and Destroy is a bad matchup to them, they can just take infiltration. Like, this team can score relatively well on all 3 of the archetypes. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely expecting some people to just turn their Blooded team into a Brood Brothers team or turn their Vetguard team into a Brood Brothers team. I mean, the conversion opportunities are pretty straightforward there. So, yeah, we'll not be surprised at all to see that.
I think that a lot of Horde players are just going to jump right onto this team.
Oh, yeah.
I do think they are a high skill caps team. I've already heard of certain people that have been trying to play this team not perform well with them. So that just means that they probably have a high skill cap, much like Mandrakes. I think at Bay Area Championship, we know how powerful this team can be. I'm expecting them to do very well at this 42 person tournament. But at BAC, they performed relatively poorly. I think only one of them got into the top 8, and that was out of a 35 person tournament. So. Yeah. So like, we'll have to see if Mandrakes is a very low, like a low ceiling or low floor and a really high ceiling, in my opinion. And I think this team is going to be very similar, just how Vetguard was also the same. So Chris or Giacomo, how about let's go with you, brother? How many operatives can this team take?
You can take anywhere from your humble 10 if you wanted, and just decide not to do the cool thing, or you do the cool thing and you take their extra dudes, which what are those things called? They have points. You get 3 total points for your Brood Brothers, your tactical assets. So you could, in theory, have 13 if you took the 2 little guys and one of the other ones.
Yeah, just to be pedantic, I actually don't think you can run Brood Brothers as a 10 operative team. I think the minimum you have to take is 11.
Really?
You can't repeat options in the list. So after your commander and 9 Brood Brothers, when you do the tactical assets, there's only 2 of the tactical assets aren't an operative. So even if you only take tactical assets, one of them is an operative. It's the reinforcement. So by my read, the absolute minimum number of operatives you can take is 11. But I think that would be far from the ideal configuration.
Yeah, especially for a horde team like this. Like,
yeah,
I think we're going to see probably a lot of like the psychic familiars, and then I don't know, Primus or Magus.
Also, their interference and lookout and everything that isn't an operative is still really good.
Yeah, I definitely, and after playing a few games with this team, what I thought on paper has definitely played out. Do not sleep on interference and lookout. Interference is fantastic against teams that are APL starved. So you're generally not going to want to do it against elites. But for example, against a team like Mandrakes, a chance on a 3-up to knock an APL off an operative at the end of turn 1, and then just do it again at the end of turn 2 or early turn 2 if you just need a delay move. Like, what a wonderful way to delay. Just take an APL off something and reduce your opponent's options. So interference is fantastic. Lookout, the ability to generate a ton of crossfire tokens, is also really, really awesome. One other thing that wasn't obvious to me on the first read and actually took me a second reading to realize is that these aren't once per game. These are once per turn. So you'll get 4 potential stuns off with interference, and you'll get 4 drops of crossfire tokens with lookout.
That's crazy.
Ooh, so then maybe take lookout in like the prime.
Yeah, I have run lookout and really gotten some mileage out of it. So jumping over to what lookout is here. Let me try to find the reference to that. So for lookout, just as an activation, you just go ahead, you just pick an enemy operative. No one needs to see it. Doesn't matter where it is on the board, into the dark or open. Doesn't matter. You just pick an operative, and all enemies within white of it gain a crossfire token. So you're effectively just dropping a crossfire blast on anyone at any point. You just do it, and they all gain a crossfire token. Really, really, really cool.
Crossfire tokens are really important for this team.
Yes. I definitely saw some chatter online early about the team that crossfire is not really a big deal. And holy guacamole, I firmly disagree. I think crossfire absolutely makes the team work. The team has most of its things hitting on 4s with its operative, and is the only way of getting more reliability out of that. So you can definitely, feel starved for accuracy, and crossfire definitely helps give you that cushion.
And heaven forbid let's say you roll up with your Melta, right? You already have a crossfire token on them, maybe 2 crossfire tokens on them, right, from your lookout. And then you flip from conceal to engage, move up, and then shoot an operative. And you can essentially get 3 re-rolled dice on your Melta, on an operative. It's like, okay, might as well just have relentless. It's a little wild. It's a little wild for sure.
Yeah, and there's even more fun tools.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool stuff. So essentially, the team can take a commander, and the commander can either take a bolt, pistol, chainsword, and a claw, a drum-fed autogun and a bayonet, or a las pistol, power weapon, and claw. Chris, what is your favorite loadout for the leader?
I think both of the melee-oriented loadouts have some play, but I'm generally when I see an option to take a power weapon, I'm generally going to want to take it since I'm not being locked out of a plasma pistol here. So the power weapon and claw is probably my default.
Yep. And then they can take an agitator, which is a dude with a mace. They can take 3 to 4 different gunners. But that's with the sniper. So you can take a flamer, grenade launcher, melta gun, plasma gun, but you're only allowed to take 3, I believe.
I think gunners and snipers compete for the same slots. So you're looking at 3 total there between gunners and sniper.
their sniper's kind of ass, so I leave that guy at home all
Man,
day early.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Really? You like the heavy?
Well, I don't like heavy, but when you have this many activations, you got some free dashes going on, and you've got crossfire tokens or guaranteed crits. Yeah, I'll survive with the heavy.
That's fair.
Plus,
I
as a Vedguard player, did you move your sniper like all the time, or was it
Yeah,
just every now and then to
when
take
I
a shot?
played Vedguard, generally my sniper stayed on conceal most
Right,
of the
and stood
game, which
still
is
in a good spot,
equivalent
right?
to this one. This one's still hitting on 2s and still has the slap of the mortar wound 3 on the crits. So almost as good as the Vedguard sniper. I believe the Vedguard sniper has the camo cloak, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't recall. So none of that for the Brood Brother version, but I'm coming from playing Blooded in the before time, and that sniper was definitely not super accurate, although it was mobile. For a team like this, I would trade the lack of mobility for the hitting power any day, so I'll take the devil's bargain for this sniper.
For me, I prefer, like, when you're playing the Vetguard sniper, you can actually play him a lot like a plasma a lot of the times, instead of having him up there or have him be your last line. So after you've like killed your first 2 waves, you can have him start going on engage, running up and acting like a plasma gun as well. Can't with this guy. That's why I like him less. But then they have the icon word, who is why not just give everyone only in death? Why not? It's a great time. Knife fighter, medic guy, sapper, who is essentially we're gonna get to that motherfucker. Sniper, trooper, veteran, Vox operator, and then finally we can go on to their assets, which we've already gone over 2 of them. They can take 2 psychic familiars, and these 2 guys have super conceal and GA2. They can take a Magnus, they can take the Patriarch, the Primus, or a Brood Brother Trooper for reinforcements. So so they can get all the way up to 14 operatives technically.
Yeah, I think the max you could take would be 14. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Still good.
So yeah, it's pretty good. And then the Patriarch counts as all 3 selections. People keep telling me that he's a trap, but he's kind of cool to me.
He has his place.
He is very cool, but he is a trap.
I don't know. I mean, didn't you used to say that about the Ogren with Blooded?
And I maintain that was true.
All right. That's fair. Let's go over their TAC ops here. TAC ops are pretty interesting for this team. Chris, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So they got 3 TAC ops, and I think I'd probably order them in order of how good they are, in order that they sort of come on the page. So the first one is clandestine elimination. The idea behind this one is you want to kill somebody, and you want to kill somebody close to the enemy and also outside of line of sight of other enemy operatives. Your discount Flenser is great for this because charging on conceal means it's hard for enemies to have line of sight to him after. But there's different ways to score this. In one of my last games, I scored this with a cheeky melt-a-gun that all other operatives didn't have line of sight to him when I made the shot. So it was pretty cool, and I was close to the enemy. So you definitely don't need to do this in melee. It just makes it a lot easier, especially if you're on conceal.
Fair.
Then next up, we got militant leadership. This is a lot like our old friend, the Star Striders, the reputation to maintain. Basically the same idea of you maintain a tally for what your leader does, and you want to not outcompete your opponent's leader, but you just want to not have your own leader die. So your leader does some damage and doesn't get killed. This one, I'm torn about. In some situations, it's nice because getting 12 damage off with your leader shouldn't be too hard. The team is spoiled for choice with how much damage the leaders can spit out, so that's awesome. On the flip side, it really puts a target on the leader's back. And because your opponent's going to want to kill your leader anyway, because all of them are awesome, it's a really easy way for your opponent to deny you the second victory point here. So this one, I think, is sort of risky. I think against melee teams, you're actually going to be more likely to do this because you can zone out your opponent more and guarantee that your leader has a better time. And then finally is meticulous preparation. You can just ignore this one. It's just really bad. You have to control like 4 out of 6 objectives and then do mission actions on all of them. No, thank you. There's 2 cool tech ops before this, so we can just keep moving.
I would agree. This one, when I read it, I was like, holy shit, this is like the most narrative tech op I've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, you have to, I mean, in order to score it, you have to like do your taxes and read a book, and it's awful.
Yeah, you have to be winning more already.
Yeah.
You have to be winning most at that point.
Moving on to their tactical assets. So I guess they're allowed to have 3 Brood Brother points. The Psychic Familiar counts as 1 selection, and you're allowed to take 2 of them. The Magus counts as 2. The Patriarch counts as 3. The Primus counts as 2. Brood Brother Trooper counts as 1. And then you have Interference, Lookout, and Reinforcements. And I believe those all cost 1.
Yep.
It's hard to see when Can You Roll a Crit's head is in the way. So we have...
Can you move your head?
Okay, that got me.
Love you, John Reese. All right.
So it's important to remember with these with interference and lookout, you do it every turn, right? So I know I'm giggling a little bit still.
God, Giacomo, that was so fucking good. Oh my god. Oh man. Oh.
That really fucked you up.
Oh, dude, it fucked me up hard because I think that's what we're all thinking, you know.
I've definitely had chatter on the Bats Discord that is to the same effect. So you're in good company.
Oh man.
So it's important to remember with interference and lookout, you do this every turn. You don't. It's not just once and done. You know, looking at you, Vetguard. You get to do it every turn. So first one is interference. Select any operative within 6 of a kill zone edge, excluding your opponent's kill zone edge, and roll a d6. If the result is equal to or greater than that operative's APL, subtract 1 from his APL. So that means that for a 2 APL operative, whammo, on a 2-up, it is -1 APL. An APL 3 operative, you need a 3-up. You're generally only going to want to take this against 2 APL operatives anyway. It's not actually because it makes it more likely to succeed, although that's nice. It's mostly because the effect of taking an APL off is much more significant for a 2 APL versus 3 APL operative.
You know what this is amazing into? This is one reason why I like this team a lot outside of the foreign member bit. This is great against Pathfinders.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good against Pathfinders. Pathfinders aren't APL starved, though. Would be the big difference for me. Is that Pathfinders, 1, they have a comms, and 2, they just have so many bodies that they, taking an APL off one of them is nice. And if you can get the right one, it's certainly nice to maybe blunt the alpha strike. But I really look at this as something that I'm going to try to pull off at the end of Turning Point 1. So not necessarily something I'm going to try to stop a specific Turning Point 1 move into, but something that, going to set up for turn 2 and, a key enemy operative that wanted to charge fight. Well, now that operative is only charging, which, I think is really, really strong.
And tactical assets work kind of like the... Star Striders work where if you would activate one instead do the tactical asset, right?
Yes. This is an instead of. Now this bypasses a lot of the wonkiness with the Star Striders tactical assets because none of these do shoots. So there's none of that wonky pull line of sight from a random dude. None of these need anything other than you just pick something on the board. So thankfully bypasses all of those Star Strider related problems. But yeah, this spends an activation. So interference, really, really good. I'm looking at it into teams that can't mitigate APL loss or really, really get hurt by it. I'm thinking your Mandrakes. I'm thinking sometimes potentially Corsairs because it's the same archetype of, the 9 bodies at 2 APL. Scouts really hate this. Felgor especially really hate it. And actually definitely against Gellerpox too. Gellerpox hate being stunned and being able to roll a 2-up to take an APL off a Hulk. I'll take that anytime.
And for Gellerpox in particular, they're going to actively try to keep a lot of their models outside of that 6-inch edge zone, kill zone edge, which then just makes it easier for your sapper to go up and throw a really big bomb and hopefully kill more than just one guy.
Yeah, a ton of what this does isn't just the effect that it does, but when your opponent knows that you can do this, they're going to lane themselves off and they're going to potentially, deploy or move in non-ideal ways, which empowers the rest of your team to get more work done, right? So it does a great. This does a great job of taking that like lore element of disruptions and messing with your opponents behind the lines and disrupting their command and control by playing out with effects like this to force your opponent to play suboptimally. So interference is super, super cool, great against APL starve teams with elite teams, or I think the worst teams to try to do this to are teams like Void Dancers and Blades of Cain that just are chock full of APL, and knocking any of their operatives down -1 APL is one less likely to trigger and less impactful when it does. So definitely skip against APL 3 teams. APL 2 teams hate it.
Well, I would say that this probably isn't like the worst case into like elite teams because they only have 18 APL, but I think there are better options to make it so that Night Lord can't tap and then charge and kill. If they just have to tap and then move or tap and shoot, can also be pretty good. But again, I think there's better options.
Yeah, and it can be a fun mind game if the team has something like the injury ignoring and APL modifier ignoring ploys, because then you might try to bait them into playing them. Do not try this against Nurgle Legionaries. They're going to do the ploy anyway. They don't care. So definitely a waste of time. Next up, we have Lookout. This one I just think is so rad. You just select an enemy operative, that operative and all enemy operatives within white of it gain a crossfire token. This is huge for first activation Turning Point 1. All right, so Turning Point 1 has a few things going on in most games. One, your opponent, because you're a shooty horde, so your opponent's going to probably bunch up on conceal behind heavy cover so you can't threaten them, and sort of keep themselves with a safe launch pad to start moving everybody out of. The second thing people are going to do a lot is if they win, the sort of scouting phase, they're going to want to give you initiative, right, for the turn 2 tiebreaker, so that they'll help gain last activation Turning Point 1. Well, wouldn't you know, now you have Lookout, so if you're given first activation, you can just plop a crossfire token on half of your opponent's team the first move of the game, right? Awesome. Yeah. Well, okay, you're going to say, well, my opponent can deny it, right? They'll just spread out their deployment. They won't be all behind heavy cover. Well, great. Shoot 'em. Well, yeah. Well, now you have a grenade launcher. You got cheeky line of sight shenanigans you got going on with some of the ploys. So your opponent becomes in a really damned if they do, damned if they don't situation. I think against certain teams, this thing is an auto take. Against other teams, it's a never take, right? So, and that's what's really nice about Brood Brothers is there's a ton of flexibility in the tactical assets you choose and in the operatives you choose.
It's almost like they can be Vet Guard, Wormblade, or Blooded in whatever scenario they need to be. Wow.
Yeah, this team has a wild amount of flex. Yep.
I think that's one reason why the team is so hard to play, though, is the fact that they do have so much flex and they can do so many different things. But like in the right player's hands, right? Like people who are like really good with Inquisition, for instance, or something like that, or have a really giga brain, giga Chad brains,
Yep. Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know about that. All I do know is I like Lookout because I like putting my little crossfire tokens down. So that's how crossfire token go burr. I don't know. And then last and least, I'll say that is reinforcement. It allows you to spawn a trooper within 6 of your kill zone edge. This isn't within 6 of your drop zone. This is within 6 of your kill zone edge, and not within engagement range of an enemy operative. I mean, whatever. That's super unlikely to trigger. The thing is, you're already spending a move action and it's checked against your kill zone edge, which means if this isn't on a diagonal deployment map, any regular troopers you take will just have more range than this, right? So this is generally going to be a downgrade over a trooper because the extra ability to choose its order or deploy within 6 drop zone or your kill zone edge, just doesn't give you enough to compensate for having to have spent its normal move action, first. So reinforcement, super, super niche. Generally, I don't think you'll take tactical assets at all in favor of just having more operatives on the board. But if you do take tactical assets, which I do think they're cool, this is definitely the worst of them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like on loot or something like that, you could make the argument to say, like, you want to take, this thing, reinforcements, an extra trooper, and 2 psychic familiars. Like, you can make it. You might be wrong, and go up to the 14 operatives. But if you want to go up to 14 operatives, you just play Vet Guard.
Yeah, but if you're not, the thing is, if you're not on a diagonal map, the reinforcement here is just worse than a trooper. You can just take multiple troopers. So like this robs you of so much flexibility you could have otherwise had. So that's the tactical assets. And then you get the T-wide ability. Crossfire, after you make a shooting attack or fight in combat, that's right, it's both. You have to fight in combat as the active operative, of course. Your opponent gains a crossfire token, right? Which does nothing until you decide to spend the crossfire tokens. So whenever you're fighting in combat or making a shooting attack, this time you don't need to be active in combat. You just need to be fighting, involved in a combat. You can burn these crossfire tokens to get rerolls. The cool thing is the crossfire tokens otherwise persist. So if you use Lookout to drop a crossfire token on your opponent at the start of the game, you will, get that crossfire token in turning point 3 when you finally make contact and actually start rolling dice. So super, super important to have these rerolls, especially on a team that's natively hitting on 4s pretty much across the board. You really, really want to have these crossfire tokens in play. There actually aren't too many mechanics in the team, and we'll see later on that key off crossfire tokens. Like nothing really synergizes with them. It's just the fact that having rerolls is really important because the team doesn't have access to them otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really good with like plasmas, meltas, the things that this team has, right? And the fact that you can... Let me ask you a question, Chris. I haven't looked into the Patriarch that much. When I saw this team, it made me innately mad, and I stopped looking at it. Why let the Emperor down for a better 4-armed Emperor? If you do mind control on an enemy Brood Brother operative and they turn around and shoot somebody, would then that operative gain a crossfire token because you turn that model into a friendly who is a Brood Brother operative to give yourself an extra crossfire token? Very niche. But
yeah, I do think that would work.
Same. Okay. Just
what the hell? Wild.
Yeah, because he's friendly for that activation. Cool beans. So, yeah, Crossfire I think is really, really good. Anytime that you can do any kind of a reroll and you can kind of manipulate it, especially with like Lookout and stuff, is super strong.
Well, it's insurance, right? So if you roll hot and spike a roll and kill your target, great. Well, then Crossfire didn't matter. But if for some reason you didn't secure the kill, you stack it up so that in the future you're more likely to get it off. It also lets you just stack certain things together of, if I have a high value enemy target, I'll shoot with the super accurate stuff like the sniper first, get some crossfire tokens on it, and then the less accurate stuff, that really needs help from rerolls, potentially the plasma shoots later. So it really helps you, like mark targets.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a super, super good ability. I can't tell you the amount of times that I think that like I play a team that usually hits on 4s, right? Blooded also does the same thing. I'm sure you've experienced it where you're just like, oh, I should kill this guy. Oh, let me go up against this Void Dancer and shoot 7 operatives into him and do no damage. That was fun.
Yep.
That happens sometimes, I can guarantee you it wouldn't have happened if I had a bunch of crossfire tokens. Okay? Sorry.
Yep. Or you're shooting plasma into Custodes and you just never roll more than 3 hits and they just save 3 each time and you do it over and over again and nothing happens and then yeah.
That does happen.
It sure does.
So we're going to move into their strategic ploys. This is the reason why a lot of people like the Primus. They can get an extra CP with the Primus, and these are the things that they can do with the CP.
Yeah, the Brood Brothers.
Pervasive.
Yeah, have some great ploys. Yeah.
Pervasive is essentially like mini climbing ropes. You ignore 2 inches that it climbs, drops, or traverses during that activation. So if you just pay for 1, your entire team can just ignore traversable for that round, or the first 2 inches of climb, or drop. Like, it is a really, really strong ploy when this whole game is about movement. You only get to activate your models 4 times. Like, what is this model going to do for 4 rounds, right? And if they get -2 inches because, a team is on Into the Dark, like, I'm going to block off this corridor with 5 different barricades, ha 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 ha, and you're like, well, the Broodlord doesn't care. I'm going to spend pervasive and just charge through all of them. Oh, cool. That's fantastic. It's fucking good. It's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's essentially giving, what is that Hunterclade equipment piece?
Optimized gate.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's
like
very similar to the crew ploy.
That too. Yeah.
Or Vanguard.
Right?
Or Vanguard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
We know it. We love it. It's wildly strong. How many times I wish I had this as either Blooded or Vanguard, both. Like, both teams would have loved this.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Good job. Let's go on to Uprising. I'll start to get salty soon.
Yeah. So what if the Crossfire token happened before you rolled instead of after? So you got even more Crossfire tokens.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's
not?
This ploy. Yeah.
Why
great.
not?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, so essentially if you change from conceal to engage, so this is just the Wormblade ability, by the way, for the entire, each friendly brood operative, it's just like, oh, okay, well, this is a great thing for Turning Point 2. You're always going to use it on Turning Point 2. Go from conceal to engage, shoot everyone, get extra rerolls. Cool. Have more lookouts. Why not? Now you get 2 shots on 2 rerolls on the dice.
Jesus.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Moving on to Embedded.
Yep. Embedded is probably the second worst ploy that the team has, which is pretty incredible considering Embedded isn't that bad. Until the end of the turning point, each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Brood Brother operative that's in cover provided by heavy terrain, and the roll defense dice step of that shooting attack, before rolling your defense dice, 1 additional dice can be retained as a successful normal save as the result of cover. Really, really nice. If there's situations where you'll be forced on engage and your opponent's going to shoot back, Gunners love having this available to just keep themselves safe for the next turn, and stacks really, really well with having invulnerable saves.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. And you know what else is also great about Embedded? Is the fact that how often have you just wanted to save 2 dice automatically? When you have a 5+ save.
Many times.
Why? It's fantastic. It's fantastic. This is one of my favorite things. Stealthy is one of my favorite things to take as a Space Marine, Space Marines, when I play like the shooty versions of them. It's so good. It's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, really nice against Pathfinders, because yes, Pathfinders can indeed marker light you to turn cover off, but that requires them to start investing in marker lights, right? And they don't want to have to marker light everything they shoot at. You have usually around 12 bodies. That's just really painful action economy.
It is. And then we have overcharged las guns, which is the same as Vet Guard. So whenever you shoot it, it has an AP1 and the hot special rule. So essentially, if you're going into elites and you want them to have 1 less dice, why not turn on this and shoot away? You have 12 dudes anyways. If a couple of them die, that's all right. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, I actually think this ploy has a little more play than it did for either Blooded or Vet Guard, just because the team works a little differently. That said, I wouldn't expect to use it more than once every 30 games.
I would agree. It does let you can re-roll a dice because of
Crossfire helps a lot, and this team does have hotshot capacitor packs, and the team does have the ability to just give out las guns as equipment. So the combination of those things means that you can get a lot more value out of playing the ploy than you normally would.
Especially considering how bad their equipment is. The good thing is that all the equipment that's typically on a team is already embedded into the team itself. So, hey. Ruthless Coordination. Now, Chris, you were talking about this ploy before we even started. Why don't you get us started on this bad boy?
Yeah, so Ruthless Coordination is so incredibly cool. Use the tactical ploy when determining if an enemy operative is in a friendly Brood Brother operative's line of sight. Determine visibility is normal, but you can instead determine cover and obscuring from another friendly Brood Brother operative that both aforementioned operatives are visible to, but isn't within engagement range of an enemy operative. So
this is so fucking confusing. Why don't you?
It's so cool. So I had, I can try to paint a picture verbally of this. So my opponent had his Cryptek unconceal, move dash up to heavy cover, and my Melt-A-Gunner was about 12 inches away. But there was like a nice hole in the wall, so I could move my Melt-A-Gunner up and get visibility on the giant Cryptek, right? But I would be still 6 inches away, concealed in heavy cover, so that really made that shot not really work. But the other thing I had was a little medic just sitting there. So I put the medic on conceal, and I moved dash the medic to within 2 inches of the Cryptek. And then I activated my Melt-A-Gunner and walked the Melt-A-Gunner up and spent Ruthless Coordination so that I could determine cover and obscuring from the medic, and the medic was within 2 inches, so that was fine. So not in cover, not obscured, and then shot him in the face with the Melt-A-Gun. The Melt-A-Gun shot whiffed, but thankfully I had, it was the last activation of the turning point, and at the start of the next turning point, the Melt-A-Gunner got vengeance through a story I'll explain once we get to the relevant operatives.
That is fair. That is fair. Now, did it whiff even with your crossfire tokens?
Yes, it unfortunately did.
Wow, unfortunate. Indeed.
Yes,
unfortunate.
Big sad.
It happens. You can roll twos into ones. I mean, it was about us. It wasn't hot, but it was still a bummer.
So, unquestioning loyalty is just essentially, your stereotypical. Get down, Mr. President rule. So that's pretty much the same thing, which is still really good, especially if, you didn't see this model could, especially something like a Pathfinder recon drone could like move over and get a shot on him and possibly like almost kill the dude on one shot. You could be like, oh, I'm going to dive in front of him. Cool stuff.
Yeah, I think this version of the ploy is probably the strongest version of it it's ever been. A combination of having operatives that are both good at taking shots, have other synergies you can layer down with other ones dying, and then like just having flexibility in who jumps in front of the shot and, having really useful leaders that want to take the shot. I just think this is a super, super nice ploy to have. Fits great in the team.
Especially if you have something like embedded on as well, because
Yep.
all of a sudden you can have embedded on an operative that, maybe couldn't necessarily get shot, but he's still behind heavy cover, and then, take it instead, and you automatically retain 2 dice. So, and the model still might live. It's kind of crazy.
Yep. For example, the veteran who can use the ploy for free and has a 5 fuel no pain. Hooray.
Hooray.
Just a better hardened.
Yep. What if hardened shotgun?
Yeah. Yeah. What if he actually they had a real gun?
Yep.
So tell us about idolization.
All right. So idolization is if one of your dudes is shooting and is super stoked because they're near a leader or the icon ward, you can retain a failed hit as a normal or a normal as a crit. This is just absolutely dank because you do it after you see the roll. You don't need to do anything in advance. And so you spend it only when you're going to get a lot of value out of it. You can also spend it after spending crossfire tokens. You get to see how those shake out before you spend for the ploy. Absolutely disgusting, especially because of other things the icon ward does. 10 out of 10 ploy would idolize again.
Yep, it's that's like my least favorite model of the team, or maybe my favorite, depending if I'm going to play the team or not.
My opponents consider it their least favorite model on the team. So,
yeah. Let's get into Insidious. Insidious is they can perform a out of activation dash, correct?
Yeah. So you can use this tactical ploy after an activation. It can be yours, it can be your opponent's. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Similar to Mandrakes.
Yep. And then, I mean, this is even better. Like, you have even more agency on it's absurd. Before the next activation, you can perform a free dash action with one friendly Brood Brother operative, so long as it starts and ends that action is not within the line of sight of an enemy operative. Okay. So it doesn't matter if your own guy is ready or not ready. Doesn't matter if you're on conceal or engage. I mean, it's harder to be out of line of sight on engage, but still, like, same idea. And you can do it whenever you start and end outside of line of sight, which is really easy to set up, particularly on ITD, but also on open.
Fantastic. This team is so not good.
I mean, it's not so bad, because it's not like you can also just get free dashes for equipment and also have an operative that can charge and conceal. So it's not like you can just catapult, your discount Flenser up 6 inches the board, like 6 inches up the board before it activates.
Oh yeah,
it's not like that. Yeah.
Yeah, this team is amazing. Moving on to the commander. It's really hard to say that you want to take your commander with a drum-fed auto gun when all it gives you is ceaseless. So you get to reroll ones, 2-3 damage when you already get like rerolls on the team. Why are you shooting with this operative in the first place when you could take him with a power weapon? And when it's your turn to use a strategical ploy, you can use an ability on this operative to select a visible operative and just give them a crossfire token at the beginning of a strategy phase. So like it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely his ability to throw a crossfire token out is great, but mostly this guy's just a missile. Your team doesn't really need him. There's nothing specifically he's doing other than giving out a crossfire token. You've got an 8 wound model with a power sword on him.
He kind of
like the butcher from Blooded. It's sort of like, well, what if the Blooded butcher, but
true,
but it's balanced.
Yeah, it's balanced, which is pretty good.
Yeah, because sometimes the butcher would whiff, but this guy with crossfire and balanced is not going to whiff.
Exactly, and he does a lot of damage. So 4-6 damage is nothing.
This guy's a power sword missile to me.
Yeah. The good thing is at least he hits on 3s rather than hitting on 2s. So, that's
like I said, balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. I think you get 2 turns out of his ability, then I think you're golden.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the Brood Brother Agitator. Now, there's no reason why you don't take every specialist on this team, correct?
I don't think you can. They have too many choices.
Yeah, you're right. Oh. So we have to see which one we're going to drop.
Yeah, I think you have to drop 2, actually. Assuming you take all the gunners.
No, I dropped the sniper. I don't even look at that model.
Well, you're wrong and I hate you. Agitator's awesome. I mean, it's going to be a recurring theme. So many of these operatives are just awesome. Imagine if the Bruiser
was good.
Good, right?
This is literally
take the Bruiser. Then instead of the whatever pipe he has, like dinky little like thing that he got out of his bathroom, imagine if he actually had a shock maul throwing exaction squad level damage out, 4 dice on 4s, 4/4 stun. But then you're like, you know what? That still isn't enough. What if also he just generates a 6-inch aura of spending a free crossfire token, sort of like on some sort of Kazakh free elite point thing. So just decides to do that too. So just like objectively better Bruiser in a team that also supports melee better than Vetguard did. Agitator's awesome. I see him as an auto include.
Yep, I would as well.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like, what if they just made the Bruiser better? They 100% did. And look, he's a taken every time, Cool.
Yeah. Just put him on a different team. Great. Mm-hmm. All right. So then we get to the gunner options. There's nothing here that we haven't seen before. If you're familiar with the gunners from Blooded or Vetguard, it's the same deal. The only asterisk I'll throw out there is due to how crossfire tokens are generated, frag grenade launchers are awesome. So
way better, because I can't tell you how many times I've whiffed grenade launchers. Like everyone's scared of the Vetguard grenade launcher, but unless if you have shoot on or combined arms or something, like it can whiff so bad.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So with the frag grenade launcher, not only do you have crossfire to back it up, if you whiff, at least you still got a crossfire token out there.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's good. And if you spend one on a model and then they live, you still have one on the model.
Right, exactly.
Good stuff.
So it's awesome. Exactly. Then we get to the icon ward. This I think is probably the best icon bearer in the game.
Yeah.
By far.
So, when I used to play Novitiates, I thought the Reliquarius was pretty cool because the Reliquarius, if an operative died near it, you had a 4-up chance that you could do a shoot action off of it, which I thought was, strong in the right circumstances. So then Brood Brothers looked at it and was like, all right, well, here's the deal. What if it just was automatic? And also, you could do it off any action. And so I want to go back to that story I told earlier of my Meltagunner going after that Cryptek. Well, my opponent won first activation the next turn and proceeded to flip the Cryptek hot and vaporize my Meltagunner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, unfortunately, I was in 6th of the icon ward, so the Meltagunner took one last shot. But wait, there's more. Because you also deploy idolization after you roll your dice. If you're within 6 of that same icon ward, you can retain a fail as a hit or a hit as a crit. Needless to say, a few crossfire tokens in that ploy later, the Cryptek died for killing that Meltagunner. This guy is absolutely awesome, stacking together with the idolization ploy. The ability to just get one last action off. Shoot's an obvious one, but you can do mission actions. You can do other weird stuff. So absolutely awesome. He also slaps for 3/5. It's not a bad melee profile at all, and has the regular icon bearer nonsense.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. The other great thing about this model is why not just, give him a large knife, which is just the Vetguard hatchet on crack, right?
This is Space Marine knife.
Yeah, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/5 damage. Why not? I mean, he doesn't have a gun, but you don't need it when you have a weapon like that. So,
plus, if you really need a gun, it's just 1 equipment point away.
There you go. Yeah.
So, you're right.
There you
go. Oh, fuck this guy. All right. Why not just, okay. I'm not even going to go into it. That guy is fucking bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
He turns the team up to like 11,
He does. G, do you want to take over this knife fighter? I really like the model of the knife fighter. He's one of my favorite models, model-wise of it. So,
yeah, I mean, he's cool. He's got poison knives. So again, he's pretty decent profile.
He's an assassin. Come on.
hitting on 3s, 3/4, lethal 5. Oh, so he's going mid lane, right? Lethal 5 and relentless. Cool.
It's totally Talon.
Yeah, exactly. And he charges from conceal. That's awesome. And whenever you fight this guy, you actually can't leave unscathed. You're always going to take at least 1 damage because of counterattack, which is pretty cool.
Not necessarily. If you got a crit off and do nothing but crits, you're okay. Counterattack only procs.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
That is true.
So on average, you're going to at least take 1.
It's really hard to escape a fight with this guy without taking some damage. The Knife Fighter is a lot like the Flenser from Blooded. As is tradition, obviously the Knife Fighter is better. Baked in Relentless is better than Baked in Ceaseless. I think the math on that checks out.
You can attack somebody, give them a thing, and if you don't kill them, they still get an extra one because you don't have to use any dice. You just use Relentless.
You're built.
You just have native Relentless and then also native Lethal 5. So you don't need to do any of the nonsense of like going near terrain or whatever. You just have it because nice. The lack of the strike on death makes this operative in some situations a tiny bit worse than the Flenser. But overall, the team can support this operative way more. Again, catapult him 6 inches up from your drop zone before he activates turning point 1, which is just sick. And then counterattack is fun because it messes with your opponent's melee math a lot. Now they all of a sudden have to really worry if you charge them. Even powerful like Space Marine operatives might end up killing themselves with their final strike. So, just awesome.
It's amazing. The medic now, their medic is
Boring. Boring. They had a chance to make something so cool, and they just made him a medic.
No, so if you look at the Gene Needler, the Gene Needler is the coolest melee weapon in the game.
I'll give you this. It's a cool party trick if you can pull it off.
And I did, in fact, pull it off. I one-shot a plasma sight with it. Now, was that overkill? Sure. Was it awesome? Yes.
Yeah. If you hit with this weapon, you probably crit with the weapon.
Well, but the thing is, you have crossfire tokens. And if you really need it, if you're within 6 inches of an icon warden leader, you just guarantee the hit. Like, you don't need to worry about it. You just roll and hope you don't have to spend the CP.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I have an interesting question that was put forth to me. I think it's a no, but I want to see your take on it. It doesn't really say with the icon ward. I have my own reasonings as a TO for this, but I'd like to address them here. So let's say a model dies. You use your cult icon thing to keep them alive. Then they move within range of your medic. Can your medic save them?
I think it's incredibly clear. The answer is no.
Correct.
Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah.
This was a question put forth. I believe death happens immediately, and then you're using the other ability to keep your model alive. So no, your model's essentially already gone off the battlefield.
Says it's then incapacitated as normal. You cannot use this ability and the medic ability on the same operative at the same time.
Yes,
and if you're trying to wiggle out that after the dash it's not the same time, I would encourage you to please come talk to me outside, where we'll have a very polite conversation outside the gaming space, and preferably outside the jurisdiction of the city police.
There we go.
There's your medic.
Yeah, it's a medic with a one-shot weapon. An
epic weapon.
Now I'm going to go over the Brood Brother Sapper, because why not? This model is my second least favorite model on the team, because he does, he has literally every special rule possible on his gun, and he's essentially the demo mine on crack. It's cool. He has all the grenades. He just has literally all the grenades, and he has a super bomb, which is just the demo mine with a 6-inch range. And it has indirect. So,
it has unwieldy, so it costs 2 actions to do. So it's not like you can comms him and then give him the covert guys to dash and then plus 1 APL. I mean, it's not like you can just do that. Although covert guys can change your order, but you could recon dash. So you definitely can't get a 9-inch, a 15-inch throw off of him. No, you can't do that. Just kill stuff, it's good. It's good. This model is beyond ridiculous, especially with what, Chris just said. Has indirect too. I mean, what world do we live in? It's crazy. Okay. It doesn't do mortal wounds though. So I think that sort of balances it out.
Correct. 5-6 damage, AP1.
Yeah.
Blast 2. 4 attacks. Although it hits on 3s, so it's a little worse than the demo mine.
Yeah, it's not like the team has any ways of getting free rerolls.
Yeah.
I don't know. My demo mines seem to like 1s a lot, so I'll take hitting on 3s with the rerolls. Thank you.
I think the highlight of my demo mine's career is when I killed 2 orcs, and it did not kill. I killed 2 orcs with it, including the commando, and then it whiffed on my confidant. It was amazing. Because I rolled once.
Well, there you go. I would like to not re-roll those ones. Thank you very much.
Exactly. We have the sniper up next. The sniper has 4 attacks.
With your demolition charge, you didn't explain explosives.
Oh, yeah. I don't think
they have another rule.
Yeah, you're right. So the first time this operation, can you move your head during the battle?
I can read it for you. I have one here.
Thanks. That helps.
The first time this operative performs this action during the battle, place your explosives token visible to and within one of this operative. The second time this operative performs this action during the battle, each operative within 2 of that token suffers 2d6 mortal wounds. This operative can only perform this action twice and cannot perform it while within engagement range of enemy operatives. But it gets better. Final Defiance. If this operative's wounds are reduced to 0 or less, it can perform a free explosives action before it's incapacitated.
And that's 2d6 mortal wounds?
Each operative within 2 of that token suffers 2d6 mortal wounds.
Yeah, so definitely don't kill this guy outside of engagement range.
Absolutely not.
You will have a very, very bad time.
Your Final Defiance is just to charge someone.
So the hilarious thing is if this guy's within 6 of the icon ward and you kill him in 2 inches, it's not during his own activation. Yep.
Could you throw a demolition charge from that action and then still
so the icon ward, you resolve the icon ward first and perform the free explosive action, and then you use the Final Defiance ability and perform a free explosive action.
I love it.
Incredible.
Absolutely love it. Fucking fantastic.
Pretty sick. I like the icon ward.
It's a pretty sick character.
Yeah, you're right. And then we have the Brood Brother Sniper, who is not the worst sniper in the game, but definitely just a stereotypical sniper that you would see. 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 3/3 damage, heavy, silent, and mortal wounds 3. Great in certain circumstances.
Yeah, it's great to have a silent sniper available if you want it. Like, awesome.
Absolutely, cool. I would agree. Especially into certain teams too. The Brood Brother Veteran, I also really like this model. I think it's a cool model for sure. I can't wait to have my Vet Guard murder all of these teams for being heathenous vermin. I'll just bring my flamer and flame them all to death. Sorry, I got a little too emperor-y there. So the veteran has a Astartes shotgun, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/4 damage, range 6, or long range, 4 attacks, hitting on 5s, 2/2 damage. That's objectively worse.
But it still grants the same crossfire token. So if you just need to put tokens out, he can shoot it at long range. Yep, has the nice 5-up Feel No Pain, which anyone who has run a Hardened before knows can make the operative terrifyingly tanky.
Yeah,
and crazy. Then the free Get Down Miss President.
Don't. Yeah, sometimes they just don't die. Sometimes they'll just die in 7 wounds, but sometimes you take like 15 wounds.
You
17
tank a
wounds.
hit.
Yeah,
you pretty much really want to keep this guy near whoever your commander is. Just really, really cool operative. And having shotgun's great.
Yeah, because you can use the Unquestioning Loyalty tactical ploy for 0 CP. So that's fantastic. Fucking bonkers. And then we have the Vox Operator. He can give +1 out. He can give out +1 APL as a stereotypical guy, or you can give out. Is it a -1? What is this? Jam?
No, you're doing Omni Scramble, which is okay, but it tends to be that by the time you're activating your comms, it tends to be later on in the turning point when you don't have too many key activations left for your opponent. I sort of don't expect you to ever use the jam ability in practice. It's like really cool, but in practice, I don't see being used. But obviously just having comms available is great. It is important to realize that you can only buff Brood Guard operatives, which means you can't give +1 APL to the Patriarch or the Primus or the Magus. So none of that.
Are they not Brood Guard operatives?
Nope.
They're not. They're Brood Coven.
Yeah. Okay. So that does affect some of these. No.
Yeah, there are some very important keywords that key off Brood Guard or Brood Coven. Brood Coven is the guys in that other box of the heroes, the Patriarch, the Magus, the Primus, and then Brood Guard is everyone else.
Yeah. Do they? I only see Brood Brother operatives in all their strategic areas. What is the keywords that specifically deny
You need to keep reading, my fine friend. You need to keep going on that list.
Orange is Brood Brother, then everything else in black is the other keywords.
Yeah. It's just keep going.
Fair. So we move on to the Psychic Familiar now.
Yeah, these guys are absolute heroes on loot. They're fun. They skitter around. They're GA2. They skitter around. They do mission actions. They're dudes. They're just funny little guys. And if you need to, you can throw their little rending claws in there and have them get punched in the face. I look forward to them having a duel with a glitchling.
Yeah, I don't know if you take these guys outside of loot. You might take them on secure, but you don't need to. There's really no reason to take them on capture.
Yep. I think they're exclusive to loot.
Then we move on to my favorite leader, which is the Magus.
The Magos is just fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's. I know that some people say the Primus is their favorite, but this is my favorite. I will explain what this operative does. You have the auto pistol, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 2-3 damage, range 6. They have a bio dagger, which hits on 2s. 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3-6 damage, lethal 5.
Lethal 4.
Lethal 4, yeah. Not the best, but it's okay. Then we have the Force Stav, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4-6 damage, and stun. And then they have the all Brood Brother operatives, not including themselves, because this says Brood Coven.
Slow down there, Tiger. Okay, First, spiritual leader is friendly Brood Brother operatives. That's the entire team. The orange keyword.
You're correct. You are correct. You are correct. That's the thing I keep saying. 5 up invul. Fantastic. And all the operatives cannot be injured or have their APL negatively modified.
Cool ability.
It's a cool ability.
And it's not even within 6. It's just fucking everyone
all the time.
Yeah, it's everyone.
What the fuck? I literally was like, this is my favorite model because I thought it was within 6.
It's within 6 of life, brother.
Okay.
I don't even think that's his coolest ability.
It's not.
It's just an active one too.
We're just getting started.
You guys want to take over telepathic overload? Because there's a specific head in the way that I cannot read.
Can he move his chair?
So telepathic overload is so amazingly awesome against teams that hate having APL nerfed, which is the kind of teams that you take this operative against. So you just pick an operative that this guy can see. That operative suffers -1 APL. This is amazingly strong near the end of a turning point, especially near the turning point 1, to take an action point off a key enemy operative. You just have to see them. This does not require line of sight. You just need to be visible. Holy cow! Such a strong ability. Now, it would be even stronger if, say, the Magos had an ability that was better against operatives with reduced APL. Which leads me into the next ability of Mental Onslaught. This one's a doozy. I'm going to read it out. Psychic action, select one enemy operative that is within this operative's line of sight. That means it's as if you were shooting, right? So you have to have all those restrictions in place, including obscuring. You pick that operative, and it just takes 2 mortal wounds, or 4 mortal wounds if it's within 6. So that just happens. You just say the words out loud, and all of a sudden 2 wounds are off or 4 wounds are off.
Jesus.
But then you roll a d6, and if the result's greater than the enemy operative's APL, it suffers 2 more mortal wounds again, or 4 if it's within 6.
God.
You keep rolling until you roll. If you fail the roll, or it suffers 8 mortal wounds. Now here's the thing: you calculate their APL at the time that you do the action, which means you could theoretically do telepathic overload and then mental onslaught for effectively needing to roll higher than a 1 against a theoretical 2 APL enemy operative. And the best part is you can do this entire thing on conceal. The Magus is an absolute monster, turning point 1, scooting around, throwing APL debuffs out there, and then mentally onslaughting folks from across the table.
This is the real sniper.
Yeah, the Magos is an amazing sniper. If you can keep him safe, keep getting APL debuffs out there, and then if somebody makes the mistake of getting close enough to you, you just pop them for 8 mortal wounds off the bat. The dude's awesome. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, this model is really good into Pathfinders as well, or into anything else. Like you can do this on the drone controller. You can do this on on Felgor, for heaven's sakes, or elf teams who have very similar wound characteristic as 8, or pretty much anything. And you're going to almost
this is like an auto take for me against Gellerpox.
Yeah, absolutely.
The turning off, the ability to be injured in APL modifiers is nice. The invulnerable save doesn't matter against Gellerpox, but really comes into play is taking APL away from the Hulks. They hate that. And Mental Onslaught, you're just zapping bugs. You don't even roll. You just say, I zap the bug now, and he takes the bug off the board. It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. This is my favorite leader operative that they have so far. Though the Patriarch is really cool, which we get into him next. G, do you want to take this guy?
Sure. So let's start by saying I think this is the first model that I can recall that has 4 APL.
Outside of old
Custodes.
Custodes, yeah.
Outside of old Custodes, right? So it's the first bespoke one. Well, this guy, he's got 21 wounds. So that was pretty cool. And he's got some special rules. So let's start with Alpha Predator. He has a 4-up invul save. Its APL cannot be modified, and you can activate it twice during the turning point, so long as it has action points to spend. But it cannot move more than 9 per turning point, so 1 move, 1 dash, that's all you get. And each time you activate it, generate as many action points for that activation as you wish from its APL. So you can go up to 4 if you want, or you can do 1 and 3, 2 and 2 is probably going to be the one we're going to see more often. It's a monster, so it can't be equipped with equipment. And light terrain and operatives with wound characteristics of 15 or less do not provide cover for this operative. Cool. He's a monster, so it's kind of like the Hulks, which is pretty rad. And then he has mind control, the exciting thing that they kind of teased back when, and everyone was sort of speculating what it would do. Well, here's what it does. It's a psychic action, so you select one enemy operative visible to and within 2 of this operative. Both players roll 1d6 and add their respective operative's APL to the total. If your total is higher than your opponent, you can resolve this action's effect. Until the end of the activation, that enemy operative is a friendly operative. You can change its order, and it can perform a free action. It cannot perform an action in which it moves other than a dash, though. So, you're not making them get out of the crazy positions. But still, dashing, still good. You can only resolve this action's effect once per battle. So you're only doing this once, but you only really need to do it once into certain matchups. And then you have Into Shadow for 1 AP. Change the operative's order. And, you can't do it while within engagement range.
Yeah, so there's a couple call-outs here. One is the very specific wording of mind control. You can only resolve the action's effect once per battle, which means you can try repeatedly if you fail, but the second it triggers, you're done. That's the only time you get to use it.
Interesting.
So that's one just thing to consider, and something that I didn't realize on first read, and once I realized that, I put a little more stock in mind control. Now, the second thing is interesting. For Alpha Predator, each time you activate it, generate as many action points for that activation as you wish from its APL. Are you allowed to activate it once and generate 0 APL, and then activate it later and spend all 4?
I was thinking just that, and I guess it would work, right?
It would not.
It would not?
Definitively no.
Do you
Because
have to generate at least
activation,
one?
Yeah, activation points, you have to have at least 1 to activate. Is
that in the rules?
Is that
it is not in the rules, but I think that it is. I think there's enough case study in.
Is there?
Is that
FAQ.
a talk to Dakotah outside the jurisdiction of the police or something?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, so Dakotah, my fine esteemed friend, there are multiple operatives in the game that have 1 APL.
Correct.
You can stun them. You can throw a -1 APL token on them. Can they then not activate?
I would probably say no.
So the game just stops?
Ooh. I'm going to let this one marinate, I guess.
There's an Inquisition servitor, right? Just sitting out there in the open. It has 1 APL. I use the Magos to give it -1 APL. It's now at 0. What happens next? It's ready.
I think that you would not be able to activate it. I would stick to that. And I think that the turning point would end.
So it stays ready and the turning point ends?
I would assume so. Yeah, they can't do anything. You can't. I mean, I guess you can pass with 0 APL.
Well, pass is actually an action, but
pass is an action. Yeah, so you can't actually take an action because all actions cost points. Action APL. So what the game would just like.
I believe
go on pause.
I believe it's fine. I don't think you need to be able to do actions to end your to activate. I just think you activate, you do whatever abilities theoretically you could have done that aren't actions, and then you end your activation. That's personally how I see it.
Yeah, I will probably be ruling against this at my tournaments until GW says otherwise. I mean, I will look more into actions themselves and actually read it. But from the very first time I saw this question actually brought up to me, I just immediately said no. I think that it's way too gamey. And I think that, especially with the last FAQ, we saw Games Workshop go a lot into not rules as written, because they actually ruled against some rules as written. But I think that they definitely went with like intuitive rulings especially at this point in time of the game. And I think this one would just be an absolute no from Games Workshop. So, yeah.
I'm with Dakotah on this one. Now that I'm reading the pass rule, pass is one APL to do, right? So the more I'm thinking about it, I think it would just end. Like you wouldn't be able to activate it, and you would have to re-ready anyways at the end of the activation.
If anything, I think I would like to see something say like you cannot activate, like you can't go under 1 or something like that. But that's not in the core rules. So like, I think it's a good question and something that probably needs to be answered by Games Workshop to have a definitive answer. And I think we're going to see a lot of TOs all over the world ruling it differently.
Yeah, fair enough. I personally don't see like a rules as intended conflict with doing that. Like I don't see, it doesn't seem like a gamey move to me. The Patriarch is, my read is designed to always have 2 activations to make sure the team never drops below 12 activations. And I think situations where you're taking the Patriarch are generally against elite teams in general, where doing this isn't terribly meaningful most of the time. So I don't think it's like a balance problem. I don't think it's a gameplay problem, and I don't think it's an RAI problem. But that's my perspective.
That is fair. I think that is a very valid point to have too. And I think that's one reason why I would love to see Games Workshop answer that question.
I agree. Whatever way GW would rule it, I'd be fine with. And I would expect that if it ever gets ruled on, they would probably put a minimum as one action per activation. But if they don't rule it, yeah. I would play it as allowing 0.
I could see that.
Because by omission, like by not saying anything, it would imply to me that that's an interaction that they are okay with. But who knows?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how they rule it at Tacoma.
Yes.
Speaking of which, with some of these questions, because every team comes out with a bunch of questions, I find it wild that people in the world are running these teams on release. Like they're allowing these teams on release. I think it's a little crazy. What do you guys think? I think there's the tournament in Spain that's allowing this team day of release.
I think it's awesome. Let them play.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have it,
I'm pretty laissez-faire about it.
That's fair. So I don't think we talked about Into the Shadow. That's his last ability.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, just why not just be able to change your order?
Right,
yeah,
it's awesome.
And then you can even give him then the free dash, right? With the Insidious. So you could essentially get 5 APL.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that this guy can activate twice, which is already 2 order flips during the turning point, I sort of don't see too many situations right now you're going to want to spend for Into Shadow. I would imagine most of the time that the Patriarch commits and flips to engage to get a charge off. That's probably going to be a situation where enough enemies can retaliate against it that flipping to conceal isn't super important after that. And all the shenanigans regarding like using Uprising to flip from conceal to engage don't really matter when you're a relentless hitting on 2s operative anyway. Right, so I don't really see too many situations you're going to want to spend for this.
I think this model probably has the least amount of synergy with the rest of their team. It's a really good model, but there's not anything innately that's like synergistic like the 2 other leaders that they currently have.
Yep. very much a lone wolf here.
Hey, going back to Alpha Predator, because I'm kind of reading this and I'm just curious, at least interpreting it this way. It says you can activate it twice during the turning point, so long as it has action points to spend, right? And each time you activate it, you generate as many action points for that activation as you wish to from its APL, right? So wouldn't you have to at least put one?
That's what I would think.
In order to
Saying it
activate
the
twice, because you need to have
as long as it has action points to spend. Well, it's if it has
But at that point,
I mean, I
like
could
the first time
understand-
you activate it, regardless of how many you actually allocate, you have 4 to spend. That's what's allowing you to activate it, because like it's the 4 number, not how many you actually pull from it.
right.
the first
right.
time
Okay,
you
yeah,
do it.
from its APL. Okay, yeah.
And the only question here is what the first time you're allowed to do. The second time, you obviously have to spend the rest, or you're
Right,
done. Like, it
exactly.
doesn't
Or you
matter.
got none.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is it is very, very it's not super clear. I don't think that whoever was designing this team was thinking about that, or maybe they were. They just snuck it in. Who knows? The Primus, I believe this is everyone's favorite leader character. This is my least favorite character on the team. I think his model's ugly as fuck. I just dislike him.
Tell me how you really feel.
Homie has like a wiener on his forehead. I don't like him.
His nickname is Richard.
So is this your favorite? Is this both of your favorites? Leader character?
It's just a really solid choice. Like if you
I
don't
think
really
it's
know what else to go
objectively
with.
like the best on paper. So first of all, you got a silent gun, like cool. All right, like nice. And then you're also like almost as good as the Patriarch in melee. Like you're not quite as good, but you're not too far off. And then you can perform 2 fight or 2 shoot actions during its activation, which, by the way, the Patriarch cannot do. If the Patriarch wants to fight twice, they'll need 2 activations to do it. Right? So sick. All right. So far so good. Then like, what if you just always got initiative? So each turning point after the roll off, you can add 1 to your roll or re-roll it. Like, sweet. Okay. So like that alone is already good enough to like justify this model. But wait, there's more. Because you also have the action like the Phobos leader does to get a extra CP for an action point. So turning point 1, pretty much just automatic. You're doing that. So you're going to come in with +1. And then ideally you get 2 or 3 extra CP off this guy. Given this team's amazing roster of tack ploys, especially with some decent strat ploys. I mean, the CP thing alone would justify me taking this operative. Borderline without weapons, I would still take him. And then also the great weapons, also the initiative stuff. I mean, it's just insane.
I would agree. I think this model's pretty cracked. I still just dislike his face.
Now, the Magus, I think, is cooler. Don't get me wrong. Like, the Magus is fun, really fun. But fuck, the Primus is good.
It's a little ridiculous.
It's just easy to select and go. You can't really mess up if you choose it, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing that you can do with this operative is you can get your free dash out of activation, or give your model +1 APL, give the free dash out of activation, and then charge somebody, kill that person, and then shoot 2 different operatives and kill them both possibly at the end of the turning point. And then if you placed your icon ward close by and that model's, then you lose initiative somehow, on the next turn, and they kill him, you get a shoot anyways, so he can be a missile as well.
For his mastermind ability, we are assuming we cannot go higher than 6, correct?
Why not?
Yeah, you definitely can. There's nothing in the rules that say you can't go to 7.
Okay, so you can be 7. I just wanted to make sure.
I think the only other team that they will struggle with winning initiative rolls against is Blades of Cain. Because Blades of Cain can also add 1 to their as well. So
gotcha.
They can still tie at 7, and Blades of Cain can still steal it from them. So yeah, because why not just re-roll and add 1? Like wait, no, one of the following. But still,
like pick one, whichever is better for you.
Yeah. A little ridiculous of a model. Super, super good. Objectively, possibly better than the. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think the Patriarch is not as good as either of them.
Of course.
Especially because you don't just get the Primus or the Magus. You also get an extra operative or the Psychic Familiars, right? So.
Yeah, I will say that against like elite teams or melee focused teams, the Patriarch starts just becoming really, really good because of those 21 wounds. It's like incredibly hard. Yeah, Felgor
and then
hate
mind
the Patriarch.
control.
Also the mind control thing. Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite thing. Like you could be a really gambly player and just play for fun. And you could take the Patriarch and go into Vetguard and then move them up the board and be like, oh, there's your demo man. Let me take your once per game mine and drop it, or the diabolic bomb from the once per game, throw it into your own dudes, all sorts of stuff you could do with once per game abilities.
Oh my God. Move dash, mind control, the diabolic grenadier.
Yeah.
That's filthy.
It is filthy.
That's filthy.
Well, I think you can only dash, right?
No. The Patriarch activates, pulls 4 APL for the mega activation of the century. Then it moves dash, catapults 9 inches up the board to be within 2 inches of the victim. And then you roll off. Of course, you're going to win because why wouldn't you win? And then the little guy throws a diabolic bomb into the middle of your rest of the team.
Yeah, it's
pretty nuts.
It's really spicy to do into like once per turning point, or let's say like
once per game stuff.
Yeah, once per game stuff, or like you're playing like Chris, and Chris is like, oh, I'm not going to throw my bomb, my Pathfinder bomb, on turning point 1, and then you win initiative turning point 2, and he doesn't somehow use a worthy cause, and you go up and you steal the Pathfinder grenade and kill himself with it. It's like more of a fantasy story in my mind, but it's something I would love to do.
Tell me how you really feel, Dakotah. Show me on the doll where the Pathfinder touched
it's
you.
Just like I have like goosebumps, Like I would just love to do that to a Pathfinder player. Be like, ha, your grenadier killed himself. Ha, take that. I've been touched many times badly by that boy. So the equipment, right? Equipment, they don't have a ton of good equipment, but they do have some good stuff.
What do you mean they don't have a ton of good equipment?
I think there's a handful of good stuff.
Yeah, there's covert guys. So like covert guys is awesome. I mean, Cult Talisman isn't bad.
Yeah,
then they can just take las guns, las pistols, hot shot capacitor packs. The Cult Knife's pretty lame. And then they frag and crack grenades. I mean, I don't know what else you'd want. This seems fine to me.
Well, you typically never take the frag or crack because you have
you're going to take the sapper,
right?
That's where we disagree. I don't know if I'd ever take the sapper.
Really? What?
I know. Hot take.
But what if you played the sapper in the same way you would putting a crack grenade on somebody? Would that be
because the sapper's unwieldy?
But he comes with grenades, so you could just use him like using his crack grenade,
Oh, sure, but I like spreading them out.
Okay.
So you're telling me that you wouldn't want to give him a covert guy's dash and then give him +1 APL and then
and then what? You can't flip your order if you use covert guys.
But if you take the sapper, he takes your grenades regardless, right? So if you don't take the sapper, then you got to pay for the grenades, and then what? I guess you could split a frag and a crack grenade.
That's fair. I mean, I generally I wouldn't necessarily always even take the frag grenade, so it's really only saving me 3 EP. And I think the team's spoiled for choice with really good specialists. So for me, I don't know if the sapper will make the cut. That said, I definitely need to play the team more, and maybe I'll change my opinion over time.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like, which guys would you leave at home now that we've looked at everybody?
Yeah, what guys are we looking at? So there's the Agitator, who's good because he agitates people.
He agitates you.
Icon Ward, who agitates me. We have the Knife Fighter, who agitates me. We have the Medic, who agitates me with his one super attack.
His party.
Who extra agitates me.
Yeah, as far as who's getting left on the chopping block, honestly, Medic is fairly likely. There's only some matchups where Medic even matters. So Medic is fairly likely to get dropped. The sapper for me is also fairly likely to get dropped. So those are probably the two that I'd look at most likely dropping.
And you only like to drop 2, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
See, the medic would be dope if like you could save the patriarch,
That'd be kind of cool.
but you can't. I've already been dropping the medic in most of my vet guard games because I find that they need the extra damage. So I think I only took him against Chris, and then it mattered against Chris, but
It's true that medic got like 2 kills, right?
he did. He threw a grenade and killed a guy. One guy was dancing up on top of celebrating his victory, dancing on top of a vantage, trying to score a point. And I was like, "Fuck you! Throw a crack, die, bitch!
Yeah, that was
Die,
sick.
Xeno scum!" Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I hated that Xeno scum. Yeah,
me too,
for the
me
Emperor.
too.
I don't know. I think I'd leave maybe like the melee fighter and the medic
knife
for
fighter?
sure. Yeah.
You take that back about knife fighter.
I like the
take that
sapper.
back, sir.
I like the sapper.
Yeah, but what Walmart Flenser? What?
Sir, I sharp at Target.
Fair.
It's hard. There's like, because obviously you don't want to get rid of the comms. Like,
I'm going to tell everyone in the podcast, you should all leave the icon ward, and you should leave. It's obviously the best case scenario. You leave no, you can't leave the commander. The icon ward, you just never take. You never take him. Nope. And then you never take the veteran. Never do it.
oh, you know what? I guess if you're not taking the sapper, do you need the Vox operator? Nah, giving +1 APL is too good. Never mind.
It can be. And so, like, because you also can give like a +1 to plasma.
Meltagun.
Exactly. It's too good to
Meltagun.
not. Yeah, it's good to
Meltagun.
leave home. Yeah, it's too good to leave home. Dang. I was trying to think like, would that be an option, but not really. Yeah, it's tough. I guess medic, sapper, and maybe the knife guy are the only ones you'd really leave at home. Not counting the sniper, because you're going to take the other 3 special weapons. Would you leave a gunner home?
Honestly, potentially. I mean, it just depends on the situation. But for me, it's always going to be a pick 2 of grenade launcher, meltagun, and plasma gun. For me, that's like locked in. And then from there, if I take a third from that slot or a sniper is questionable.
Agreed.
That's
Agreed.
right. That's right. You can't do the thing.
You take their grenade launcher into hordes. You can take the sniper. I'd probably drop the sniper, to be honest. Sniper medic.
Sniper for me is on open board. Yes. On ITD, probably not.
You keep them on ITD?
No, like the sniper comes out on open because of how good the ploy for coordinated, I think, ruthless coordination, how good that ploy is to support the sniper.
I could see that.
And on ITD, because he's going to have so much trouble even getting visibility to a target. Probably drop him there.
Yeah, you could. I mean, the frag grenade can also be really good with ruthless coordination.
Yep, absolutely filthy.
I think this team is just spoiled with a lot of really good operatives. So it's just kind of like knowing what you want to take. You know, maybe you don't take the knife fighter into Felgor. I don't know why you wouldn't, but I'm just saying. You know, like there might be certain operatives that you just don't take into certain teams. You know.
Yep.
But you're only going to know that the more you play the team. So, but yeah. And then Warhammer Community had a lot of really cool painted teams. I suggest everyone go over there and look at that. I think the Votan had some of the best painted models, but I really enjoyed some of the community painted, Brood Brother teams in all seriousness.
Yeah, they had some good choices.
Mm-hmm. I specifically liked a lot of the women's paint jobs. Though Giacomo said that as I don't know, my color blindness or something. He said that I was dumb.
Those words verbatim, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like, yeah, this. Why would you like this?
Like, bro, you're straight up blind. You can't even see shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, dude, I called my friend and I was like, hey, Troy, did you see? He's like one of my homies from like high school. He was one of the TOs at LVO. And he was like, I was like, yo, dude, did you see Hobby Highlander? He was like, yeah, I just find it really funny you're giving people painting advice when you're colorblind.
It is funny.
I can see a lot of colors. Okay, I'm color deficient. He doesn't care. But yeah, So, Chris, is there anything else that you wanted to say tonight?
All hail the four-armed emperor. But in all honesty, I'm sticking with my Blades of Cain. Glory to the craft world. Bealton will conquer the galaxy again, and I look forward to chopping up a bunch of Brood Brothers by striking scorpions. So it's gonna be fun.
All right.
Hell yeah,
That's rad.
that's one thing that Blades of Cain does do well. Striking Scorpion loves 7 wound models. That's
Yeah, I think this is actually going to be a decent matchup for Blades of Cain. Blades are just so weird in what is good and bad matchups for them. They very much go against the meta.
Yeah, they kind of struggle into elite teams, specifically like Nemesis Claw, right?
They're terrified of Intercession and Nemesis Claw especially, and then like Pathfinders are proportionally not that big of a deal for them, which is just so weird.
If we could ask Games Workshop to make one team great again, let's see here. What are the worst teams? Give me 1 second while I pull up the stats, and I will let you know all the current teams that are under a 45% win rate. I recently also just rediscovered Banana Bread Hell Yeah meme, and I fucking so enjoy that.
Banana bread.
Yeah, banana bread at work, bro. Hell yeah.
Well, I don't know the meme, but now I just want banana bread.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Gee, if you can find that meme, you should insert it because it's hell yeah. It's so good. So let's see here. There are 8 teams that are currently under the 44% win rate. This is probably unfortunately the healthiest that we've seen the kill team meta, which is probably good considering, where we are at and how long the game has been out. I think almost every team is under a 55% win rate. So that means there shouldn't really be any teams that actually need a nerf. Like Pathfinders have a 51% win rate because they're totally balanced. According to win rates, at least. Win rates aren't typically the best, but the teams that all are struggling with win rate percentage is Corsairs, Kasserkin, Compendium, which we can ignore, Legionary, Farstalkers, Navy Breachers, Hearthkin Salvagers, Intercession, and the new bottom of the pack, Scouts.
Really? Scouts?
Scouts have a 36% win rate.
Did people just like completely stop playing them except for the people who only own that team?
They have as many games as Farstalkers. They have 108 games this data slate.
Wow.
Which is not a lot, like comparatively data wise, that means there's probably like 3 people out there that are just like have gone to a bunch of events and just have flamed out.
They're just scouting around.
You're scouting around.
I think Rob abandoned them.
He did. He's probably moving to the other dwarves with the cowboy hats. And the only team that has a decent placing percentage out of the whole team is Kasserkin with a 21%. Everything else is below 15%. So, Intercession have a 19% win rate too, but they have a 38% win rate. Mm-hmm. Is there any teams out of those that you guys would like to see Games Workshop make great again?
I mean, by that implication, you would probably have to say that Intercession would be the only one that could become great again,
Yeah. I really hope that Intercession becomes strong again. Specifically, I'm sorry, Chris. I know that they're bad and they're bad for Blades of Cain. But I still think that having a really easy team to pick up and learn out of like a 50% win rate is relatively healthy and strong for the game.
Right.
Keeping them at a 38% win rate, I think, is just innately bad for beginners.
Right. You're going to come in and just have like a bad time.
We want the scene to continue to grow and not stagnate,
I hear all that. I actually come at it from a little bit of an inverse angle where it's not that Intercession necessarily should be buffed, because that 38 or whatever win rate you said that they had. Did you say 38?
38.
A lot of that comes from not, it's not coming from the experience that a lot of people are having at low mid tables, right? Like a lot of people new to the game are still going to easily just steamroll their opponents, rolling dice and having fun with big boy chonky intercessors. So I don't think that the team is necessarily struggling too much at that level. I think they really struggle, as they try to go, up to higher tiers of play. And especially because their sort of natural predator exists, Kasserkin. So for me, the team to make great again is actually Kasserkin. because I think that the
I'm with
buffs that
you
they
there.
got have been counterproductive and like only skewed their matchups that were favorable even harder, while not helping at all for matchups that were bad for them. I think the team needs a rewrite from the buffs that they got. I actually think as printed, they were like, they had the bones of what they needed to succeed, but the way they were buffed was just not the right way to do it.
Same thing. It's the same thing with Farstalkers. Like we could definitely, that team is nowhere near where they actually started off, and like that team is on the struggle bus.
They are.
Yes, they are.
In that
They're-
position.
There's a couple people that are really good with them, but I mean their average secondaries is just at average at 3.97, and the average is 3.95, and I think that's like, I think we talked about this on MetaWatch on our YouTube show, but it's bewildering that they aren't scoring more. I think the highest secondary teams is Mandrakes right now by a lot. So
Makes sense.
Since we're kind of mentioning this, and it makes me think about something. The only fix I'd like to see Casterkin, and this is gonna go back into Brood Brothers in a second, but the only fix I want to see Casterkin have is either Forcadia gives them +1 attack in melee, or the combat blade is 4 attacks instead of 3. And now Brood Brothers, their combat knife is sure it's only 2-3 damage, but it's 4 attacks, and that number changes a lot of times because every time I'm meleeed with Casterkin, rolling 2 out of 3 dice, even with elite points, doesn't always help you, and you kind of just lose out to that. But having that extra one, like Brood Brothers, are probably going to be surprisingly survivable in combat because they'll have more likely chances to parry.
it's the same thing that we see with cultists.
Yeah,
Cultists right now are the only team with above a 55% win rate. They have a 56% win rate, but they only have 31 total games, which is second lowest. I think that Justian is the only other team. So, there is that.
that's what I'm saying. I think the math just that math piece alone changes a lot.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that I'm not sure if that's what they need, but I think Casterkin definitely needs something else for sure.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. And then I think the only two teams that are above a 40% placement rating currently, as of the time of this episode, is Mandrakes and Higher Tech. So those are the only two teams with a 40% placement rating. So there's a 40% chance if they show up to a tournament, they're going to place.
Where is Psychic Men? What are they called? I can't remember the name.
Orb Coven?
Yes.
Warp Coven are you talking about win percentage, or are you talking about
Let's do win percentage.
Warp Coven have a 53% win percentage. They're at the 4th place team on win percentage wise,
Heck yeah.
but they only have a 14% placement rating.
Big sad.
So they are really struggling to place at tournaments. They are quite popular though at 156. They have 50% more games than Casterkin and Scouts. So there is that. It's interesting. I still think the weirdest metric of everything is Higher Tech Circle is still the most popular, the most popular team. It's fucking weird. I don't understand it.
The time of the robot has come.
Yeah, there's no other Necron teams, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you could argue there's no other Orc teams. So
that's true. Well, that was our little stats part. If anyone wants to add us or have any questions answered on the podcast next week, we probably will do most of the episode on, MidSummer Mayhem. And then we're going to have a very special guest coming up, hopefully for the week after that. You guys are just going to have to wait and see who that person is. So,
Ooh.
yeah, it's going to be exciting.
heck yeah.
But Chris, you have any shout outs to do, brother?
Yeah, just shouting out to Team USA heading over to the World Team Championships over in a few months. Definitely come down to the tournament there we got coming up on the 27th. I think it's going to be really rad. Otherwise, shout out to the rest of the bats, and I look forward to hopefully playing against many of you listening at one of the upcoming tournaments this year.
Nice.
Yeah. G, you got anything for us?
Absolutely. So you can go ahead and join the conversation on Discord. Ask us about any questions we had here, like Dakotah mentioned, or maybe something from a previous episode was on your mind and you really want to talk about that. And feel free to share this episode with anyone who might get some benefit out of it, or one that you previously liked before. That's always fun to do. Community is always active there. If you have any hobby questions, they're pretty good about answering that, which is always great. You can always find us at our tournaments. It's on our website, which we have links in the description, which of course we have the MidSummer Mayhem coming up. Even if you want to just stop by and say hello, we're going to be there for the whole day. So why not come down and say hi? And that's always nice. You can check out our YouTube channel. We have our stuff going on there, whether it's the Meta Watch stuff or the Hobby Highlander episodes that are coming out. We would really appreciate that. And of course, if you want to help us in a more personal way, you can find us on our Patreon as well, which we always really appreciate. Shout out to Alex, because that's just the thing we do now. And to the rest of the Patreon members as well. And then you can find me on Instagram at wargaming_studios, where I paint models there. And that's it. How about you, Dakotah?
Yeah, there's a couple things. We are affiliates with Frontline Gaming. So Frontline has come out with a lot of brand new stuff recently. If you're into 40K, they just came out with a new WTC terrain set. If you want to purchase that and you want to use our affiliate link, we do get a 5% kickback, which is cool. If you want to buy any tickets, like going to LSO or going to LVO, hopefully the tickets will be up soon, but I have no idea when. FLG is also creating our next set of dice, which will be fun to have out there and do that. So that should be a lot of fun. And that should be, I think that's about it. Oh, wait, no, there's one more thing.
Ooh.
A real shout out to Alexander Popov. We are doing something quite secretive over here. As everyone knows, the lasers have been down for quite some time. I got 2 small ones and I'm churning through some old orders and tournament prep. So getting through those. Full Spectrum Laser has finally gotten back to me and they have worked out a rescue package. And I have paid for that to sit here and try and fix my current laser. So there is that. Though the only time that they actually reach out to me is because they realized that I was delinquent in my payments, which was finally I was like, oh, thank you for calling. But that's besides the point. With all the laser issues, we have decided to try and make Lester's Workshop Shop terrain available for everyone in the world. So we have been working on 3D STLs for people to print and TOs to print. And Alexander Popov has been helping with those designs. True scholar and gentleman. I just want to give a real shout out to him. They are looking fantastic. I have the first painted piece. And for those of you coming to the MidSummer Mayhem, you will see hopefully 3 fully painted sets done and out there for that tournament. So should be amazing.
Hell yeah. The train looks great.
They do look
Banana
nice.
bread. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Chris, when you watch that, you have to can I just do that so we can have a live reaction? People can hold on.
Sure. Pull it up.
3, 2, 1.
I got some banana bread at work today, dude. Hell yeah. So it just goes to show that waiting for things is worth it. But there's a lot of bad things in this world, dude. Like fucking skunks, dude. Hell no. Scratching your eye, but it's still fucking itchy, dude. Hell no. The fucking Cubs, dude. Hell no. Getting paid, not a lot of money, dude, for fucking working. Hell no. But banana bread at fucking work, dude. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Banana bread, bro. Hell fucking work, dude. Hell yeah.
It's very enjoyable. The original video is him just screaming at his phone, which is also very enjoyable.
I think it'd be good with the screams.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I had to share it with you. I had to. So, banana bread, hell yeah, bro.
Hell yeah. Skunks? Hell no.
Hell no. All right, fellas. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Talk to you
Yep.
soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. The Squad Games podcast is a production of Squad Games Entertainment. For more information on Squad Games, please visit our website at lestersworkshop.com/squad-games.